People don't stare like that for no reason. You walk in and the room does that tiny pause, like the air just recalculated. Someone squints. Someone nudges a friend. Then comes the double take. The slow smile, the confused, no way. Because the version of you they filed away in their head doesn't match what's standing in front of them now. And suddenly the ghosts come back. Old numbers light up your phone. Hey, stranger, we should catch up. People who never noticed you are noticing you loudly. People who used to speak over you are listening a little too carefully. It's not just your face or your body or your style. It's the way you carry it, like you stopped asking permission to exist. That's what scares them. Not that you changed, but that you changed without them. You can feel it in the way they laugh a beat too late, in the compliments, in the eyes that keep checking if you're real. You are. So tell me, what actually happened to you? Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a rate my glow-up video. This is about the moment you become so different that other people start acting different. And you're left wondering why the same face in the mirror is suddenly causing panic in everyone else. Good. That means the old rules don't apply anymore. Because what they're reacting to isn't only beauty, it's disruption. Your old version fit into their story. Predictable, reachable, maybe even a little needy. When you upgrade, you don't just look better. You move up in the unspoken social order. And that shakes people who were comfortable placing you beneath them, beside them, or available to them. That's why the compliments feel weird. That's why the silence feels colder. That's why the DMs arrive late, like they're trying to catch the train after it already left the station. Here's the FOMO. If you don't understand this shift, you'll shrink to make them comfortable again. And that's the one thing you can't afford. To understand the reaction, we have to go back to who you used to be. Back then, you were the easy-to-ignore version of yourself. Not because you were nothing, but because you acted like nothing needed to be protected. You showed up early, stayed late, laughed at jokes that weren't funny, answered texts instantly, and made it simple for people to treat you like background noise. You dressed for blending in, not standing out. You softened your opinions. You apologized before you even spoke. You let your posture collapse, your voice trail off, your eyes look away first. And if someone gave you a crumb of attention, you tried to turn it into a meal. You became excellent at being agreeable, because you thought being liked was the same thing as being valued. And the truth is, they loved that version. Not in a pure way, in a convenient way. You were predictable. You were available. You didn't make them question themselves. They could cancel on you and you'd understand. They could take credit and you'd stay quiet. They could flirt halfway and you'd fill in the rest with hope. That old you made other people feel safe. Safe that they were ahead. Safe that you'd stay in the same lane. Safe that you'd never become the person they'd have to compete with. Respect or miss. You remember it in the little moments. Getting talked over in group chats, being the nice one people came to for favors, watching others get celebrated for things you did first. You'd look in the mirror and think, maybe I'm just not that person. Then something snapped quietly. It didn't happen with fireworks. It happened with a quiet enough overthinking every message, enough shrinking to fit rooms that never made space, enough explaining yourself like you were on trial. You stopped chasing replies, invitations, and the maybe in someone's voice. You let silence sit without rescuing it. You said no without attaching a paragraph. And when you did, you felt the panic and guilt. That was the old you trying to bargain your worth back down to a price everyone could afford. But you didn't. You decided if you'll be judged anyway, be judged as the real you. So you moved differently. You dressed for yourself, not approval. You chose habits that built you, not habits that numbed you. You stopped waiting to be picked and started building a life that didn't require permission. That's what people miss. A glow-up isn't luck. It's a line you draw and refuse to erase. Most people step over it for a week, feel resistance, then crawl back to familiar. They almost change, almost level up, almost become undeniable. Your edge is that you stayed through the quiet days, the slow progress, the temptation to quit, and little by little, you became someone your past couldn't contain. You stopped performing. You stopped begging for spotlight. You built it. You trained your body, fixed your habits, elevated style, and protected peace like it was sacred. And that decision created upgrades people can't unsee. Before anyone notices your face, they notice your frame, your energy, your certainty, the way you take up space like you're allowed to. That's the inner glow. And it hits people in the gut because it doesn't ask for approval. Self-respect was the first upgrade, not the loud kind, not the look at me kind, the quiet kind that changes your decisions. You stopped entertaining what drains you. You stopped laughing things off that were disrespectful. You stopped giving unlimited access to people who offered you minimum effort. Then came boundaries, and boundaries changed your posture. You stood straighter because you weren't carrying everyone else's emotions. You looked people in the eye because you weren't hiding. You spoke slower because you didn't need to rush to be accepted. Calm became your flex. Your standards rose too. Not just for dating, for friendships, for work, for how you spend a random Tuesday night. You started choosing what builds you, even if it's boring, even if nobody applauds it. And that's when confidence stops being a mood and becomes a reputation. Here's what people don't understand. Confidence reads as status. It tells the room, I'm not desperate. I'm not available to be played with. And I'm not here to audition. That's why you suddenly seem more attractive, even before you change anything external. You became harder to manipulate, harder to ignore, harder to categorize. And this is the part that should scare you in a good way. If you don't lock this identity in first, every external glow-up collapses the moment pressure shows up. The first compliment, the first rejection, the first jealous comment, and you'll start negotiating yourself back down again. But when the inside is solid, the outside is just an echo. Your walk, your gaze, your voice, everything starts aligning with the person you decided to be. And once they feel that, they can't forget it, ever again. Then the outside started matching the inside. Then came the part everyone notices, the part they pretend is just genetics. It wasn't. It was systems, boring, repeatable, unsexy systems you did when nobody was watching. You cleaned up the details. Haircuts on schedule, not when it became a problem. Facial hair handled, brows tidy, nails clean, lips not cracked. You treated grooming like respect, not a special occasion. Skincare stopped being a random product haul and became basics. Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, consistency. Your skin didn't get lucky. It calmed down because you finally gave it the same discipline you gave your goals. Your body changed the same way. Not from a miracle routine, but from showing up. Steps, weights, cardio. Stretching, whatever you chose it long enough for your body to believe you. You ate like someone who would have to live in that body for years, not like someone trying to win a weekend. Sleep became non-negotiable. Hydration became automatic. And your face reflected it. Less puffiness, clearer eyes, sharper edges. Then style stopped being whatever fits and started matching your energy. Clothes that actually fit your frame. Colors that make you look alive. Shoes that aren't begging to be replaced. A scent that lingers just enough to be remembered. Clean presentation. Laundered, pressed, intentional. Because you realized attractive is often just well kept. Here's the trick. None of these changes felt huge on day one. They felt small, almost pointless. But small daily reps compound into a version of you people can't explain. 1 week doesn't shock anyone. 3 months does. 6 months changes how strangers treat you. A year rewrites your history. And now when they see you, they think something sudden happened. It didn't. You happened quietly, repeatedly, on purpose. You even fixed the invisible stuff. Fresh breath, whitened teeth, a cleaner phone screen, a calmer morning routine. You stopped doom scrolling at 2 a.m. and waking up puffy and rushed. You learned what lighting, angles, and a simple haircut can do, but you didn't hide behind them. You upgraded your environment, so your habits didn't have to fight chaos. That's why the change looks effortless now. But the most dangerous upgrade isn't your face. It's your energy. At some point, you stopped moving like you were late to be accepted. You slowed down. Not in a lazy way, in a controlled way. The kind of pace that says you belong here. You stopped fidgeting. You stopped filling silence. You let your presence land before your words did. Your voice changed too. It got lower and deliberate. You quit the laugh. You stopped turning statements into questions. You did not over-explain your choices, because you understood this. People do not respect explanations, they respect standards. So you spoke less, but every sentence carried weight, and then there is attention. Old you handed it out like currency, hoping it would buy approval. New you is selective. You can be warm without being available. You can be kind without being easy. You can listen without surrendering your center. That balance is what makes you feel expensive. It tells people they cannot rush you, cannot corner you, cannot downgrade you. Eye contact feels different now. You do not stare to intimidate. You look to connect. And you do not look away first. Your smile hits harder, because it is a choice, not a mask. Your compliments feel rare and honest, not desperate and rehearsed. When someone tries to bait you, you do not jump. When someone tests you, you stay calm. And calm is magnetic. It reads like power. You look composed. Nothing can move you. You enter conversations with an exit, not excuses. You don't chase chemistry. You observe it. You pause before answering, and pause makes people lean in, because they're not used to earning you. The craziest part is this. You did not become louder to be noticed. You became clearer. You stopped begging for attention and started granting it. And that's exactly where people start malfunctioning. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Your glow-up doesn't just change how you look. It changes what other people are forced to see about themselves. When you were the old you, they could stay comfortable. They could tell themselves they were ahead. More attractive, more confident, more disciplined. But when you upgrade, you become a walking reminder that improvement was possible the whole time, and they didn't do it. That's why some people get weird. Your new presence breaks the little ranking system they had in their head. In their story, you were the friend who'd always be single, the coworker who'd never speak up, The classmate who peaked early and then faded. Now you show up sharper, calmer, louder without being loud, and they don't know where to place you. So they try to place you back where you were. And they miss the version of you they could influence. The one who would accept half effort, who would answer every call, who would doubt their own instincts. Your attractiveness doesn't just raise your options. It lowers their leverage. They can't use pity on you. They can't use guilt on you. They can't dangle attention like a reward. Control slips when your self-respect stops negotiating, so the reactions come out sideways. Random compliments from people who never saw you. Wow, you look different. A sudden interest in your life, your schedule, your relationship status. Coldness from someone who used to be friendly. Little jokes that aren't jokes. Don't get too cocky. Who do you think you are now? Gossip disguised as concern. I hope they're okay, they've changed. Awkward DMs at midnight from people who left you on red for months, acting like time didn't happen. And the funniest one, strangers treating you better while familiar faces act like you betrayed them. They'll try to make it make sense. If you're winning, they need a reason that protects their ego. Must be filters, must be money, must be someone helping them. If they can label it as fake, they don't have to admit you earned it. And if they can't dismiss it, they'll minimize it. Pretend it's temporary, point out one flaw, bring up your past like it cancels your present. It's not logic, it's self-defense. Because the moment they respect your level, they have to question why they stayed the same. None of it is really about your looks. It's about the fact that your growth disrupted their comfort. And once you trigger that, they don't just watch you get tested. The tests don't look like hate at first. They look like jokes, nostalgia, and just being honest. Because if they came at you directly, they'd have to admit you intimidate them. It starts with a backhanded compliment. You look good, don't get too full of yourself. Okay, model, relax. The message is simple. Shine, but not too much. Then comes the guilt. You changed. Said like an accusation, like growth is a crime. And loyalty means staying small for the group. They'll pull out old stories the moment you're winning. The embarrassing version of you becomes their favorite topic. Because if they can freeze you in the past, they don't have to deal with your present. They'll bring up who you used to date, how you used to dress, what you used to tolerate, anything to remind you of the person you escaped. Some will discourage you softly. Are you sure you want to do that? Don't overdo it. It's not that serious. Not because they care, but because your effort exposes their excuses. Others will fake concern. I miss the old you. Translation, I miss the you I could access. Predict and influence. Watch for comparison traps too. They'll try to bait you into proving who's hotter, who's richer, who's getting more attention. If you bite, you're back in the old game, performing for approval instead of building for yourself. And then the past comes knocking. Exes who vanished reappear, checking in. Friends who ignored you suddenly want plans. They'll resurrect old dynamics where you were the chaser, the helper, the reliable one. The goal isn't connection. The goal is control. Here's the FOMO. Most glow-ups die right here. Not because the person wasn't capable, but because they got emotional, started explaining, started proving, and slowly donated their power back to the people who never earned it. You pass these tests by refusing bait, staying consistent, and keeping your standards. So here's how you respond without losing your shine. First rule, don't argue with someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. When shade shows up, keep your face calm and your words short. A simple maybe or if you say so ends the game, because it refuses the frame that you owe them an explanation. When they hit you with "you changed," don't defend it. Agree without apology. "Yeah, I did." Then stop talking. Growth doesn't need a press conference. The more you explain, the more you invite negotiation. When a real compliment comes, take it clean. Don't swat it away with "I look horrible" or "it's nothing." Say thank you, hold eye contact, and move on. That one sentence tells your nervous system you're allowed to be seen. With energy vampires, your boundary is distance, not drama. You don't have to call them out to protect yourself. Reply slower. Share less. Stop giving them backstage access to your life. If you keep feeling drained after every interaction, that's the data. Believe it. Now when silence is power. Not every comment deserves a response. And not every relationship deserves a second chance. If someone keeps testing you, stop participating. Don't announce your exit. Just reduce availability until the dynamic dies. And if it's direct disrespect, leave physically, digitally, emotionally. "I'm not doing this" is enough. Block, mute, walk away, change seats, end the call. Protecting your peace is not rudeness. It's self-respect. Remember, your job isn't to convince anyone. You're not here to win debates about your worth. You are the evidence. And the results speak in a language they can't argue with. Stay consistent when nobody claps. Keep your routines, your standards, your schedule. The moment you start proving, you start leaking power. Let them wonder. Let them watch. Your steadiness is the message and your peace stays intact. Now let's make sure this isn't a phase. It's your new baseline.